What is the difference between a rational number and an irrational number? Rational versus irrational. A rational number is any number that can be written as a decimal. So a rational number could be any positive number. Let's say 6, which can be written as 6 over 1. It can be a negative number. It could be negative 56, which can be written as negative 56 over 1. It can be 0, because 0 can be written as 0 over 1. It could be a decimal that can be written as a fraction. So decimals that could be written as fractions are, let's say, a decimal that ends, 0.25. 0.25, it ends after the hundredth place. It ends after that 5 digit over there, which is 1 over 4. 1 over 4 is a fraction, so this is rational. Another type of decimal that can be written as a fraction is a decimal that goes on forever, like 0.3 with a bar on top. 0.3 with a bar on top is 0.3333 going on forever and ever. Even though this goes on forever and ever, it can still be written as a fraction. So a decimal that goes on forever can be written as a fraction. Instead of putting it over 10, when you have a regular decimal and you would put it over 10, say over here you would put the 25 over 100, and then you could simplify it. This would become 1 over 4. Or if you have 2 decimal places, you put it over 100. If you would have only 1 decimal place, let's say 0.2, you would move the decimal 1 place. It would become 2 over 10, which you could simplify to 1 over 5. So that's rational. 0.333, instead of putting the 3 over 10, you would put it over 9. So it would become 3 over 9, which is 1 over 3, which is a decimal, which is a fraction. So this decimal can be written as a fraction, and therefore it's rational. Let's say you had 0.34, repeating. So this would be 0.343434, going on forever and ever. This can be written as a fraction, as you would have to move the decimal place 2 places, because you have 2 digits repeating. This becomes 34 over 99. Now, what's an irrational number? These are all rational numbers. What's an irrational number? An irrational number is a decimal that does not end, does not repeat. An irrational number would be something like pi. Pi you can do on your calculator. It's second, and then this caret over here, and press enter. The calculator gives you a long number, 3.141592654. Now, how do you know if this decimal ends after the 5-4 at the end, or if it goes on forever and ever and the calculator can't display that many digits? So let's see. We're going to have the calculator tell us, can the calculator write this as a fraction for us? Press the up arrow and press enter to copy this to the next line. Then you can press math, fraction, frac, press enter, enter again, and it tells you, no, the calculator could not convert the 3.141592654 to a fraction. We tried, we used the math menu, clicked math, we clicked enter by the fraction to try to convert it to a fraction. The calculator was not able to do that for us, and therefore pi is irrational. Pi goes on forever. 3.14159 ... This number goes on forever and ever. It's never going to end, and therefore it's irrational. Whenever you want to check if a decimal, a long decimal, can be written as a fraction or not, you can always type it into your calculator and do what we just did by clicking math and frac to try to have the calculator convert it to a fraction for you. So let's try an example. Let's say we have 0.1594. And we want to see, this is a relatively long decimal, not terribly long, but we want to see if the calculator can write, if we can write this as a fraction. Will the calculator be able to write this as a fraction for us? So you could type it in, 0.1594, click the math button, and click enter for frac. We're going to try to convert it to a fraction. And yes, they were able to convert it to a fraction for us. So this is rational. It would belong in this category over here. This is a rational number because it can be written as a fraction. Whenever you want to test if something is rational or irrational, always think, can we write this as a fraction? If you can, then yes, it's rational. If you cannot, then no, it is irrational. Another common irrational number is the number e. E you can see on your calculator by the division sign. If you press second division sign, that's e. Let's see what e is. E is 2.718281828, and this is going to go on forever, and this calculator is telling us the 1828 does not repeat. So let's see. We can copy this to the next line by doing the up arrow and then enter. Let's see if the calculator can write this as a fraction. Math, frac, we're going to try to convert it to a fraction. Press enter. No, the calculator could not convert it to a fraction. They kept it as a decimal for us, and therefore this is irrational. It belongs in this category up here. E is irrational. Other common irrational numbers include square roots of numbers that are not perfect squares. Let's see what's a number that is a perfect square. A perfect square, let's clear the screen so that we can have more space. Okay. A perfect square is a number like the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is we want to know, is there one number that we can multiply by itself to give us 4? And yes, there is. If we multiply 2 times 2, we'll get 4. So the square root of 4 is 2. Another perfect square would be the square root of 36. Because if we multiply 6 by 6, we're going to get 36. The square root of 36 is 6. Now, let's say we have the square root of 2. The square root of 2, are there two numbers that we can multiply by each other that will give us the square root of 2? Let's try. 1 times 1 is 1. 1.5 times 1.5, if you don't know this by heart, you could do this on your calculator. 1.5 times 1.5 is 2.25. That's going to give us 2.25. Let's try something smaller. 1.25 times 1.25. 1.5625. Nope, that's smaller than 2. There are no two numbers, no matter how much you try, there are no two numbers, no two rational numbers, no two whole numbers like 6, or like 4, or like 2, that you can multiply by each other that will give you 2. Let's see what the square root of 2 is. You could click the second number, and by the x squared, on top of the x squared in blue, is the square root symbol, the square root, and in that box you're going to type the number that you want to take the square root of. We want to take the square root of 2. The square root of 2 is 1.414213562. This is an irrational number. How do we know that? We can test it. Up arrow to copy it to the next line. Enter. Math. Frac. Enter. They could not convert it to a fraction for us, and therefore it is irrational. Square root of 2 is an irrational number. There are other irrational numbers. An irrational number is, let's say, square root of 3. Or it's not square root of 4, that's rational. Square root of 5 is irrational. Square root of 6 is irrational. Square root of 7 is irrational. Square root of 8 is irrational. Square root of 9, let's see, square root of 9 is going to be rational. Because do we have one number that we can multiply by itself that will give us 9? Yes, we do. 3 times 3 is 9. Now, how do you know what these perfect squares are? You could do it on your calculator. Let's say you don't know that. Say you can't think of it offhand. Is there one number that you can multiply by itself to give you 9? You can test it. Do second x squared to give you the square root symbol. And then click on the 9. They tell you 3 you obviously know is rational because it's not a decimal that goes on forever. And 3 can be written as a fraction. 3 over 1. So, square root of 9, which is 3, is rational. Let's say you move on square root of 10. Let's see. Square root of 10. Let's see if that's rational or not. Up arrow, can we write it as a fraction? Nope, the calculator could not convert it to a fraction for us, and therefore the square root of 10 is irrational.